Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
A warm welcome to Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studio in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Our top stories. President Tinubu returns to Abuja after attending G20 Leaders Summit in Brazil. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SIRAP demands probe of humanitarian ministries missing 57 billion naira. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas bemoaned poor funding in Nigeria's healthcare sector. Festac town residents seeks Inspector General of Police protection to uphold court order. On the foreign scene, $40 million housing project planned for international students in South Carolina. We begin with national matters. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Nigeria from Brazil, where he attended the G20 Leaders Summit. The president arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja over the weekend. He was welcomed by a team of government officials and other top dignitaries hours after he left the Galeão Air Force Base Airport, Rio de Janeiro. Tinubu attended the summit, during which he endorsed the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. He also held bilateral talks with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund (IMF), Kristalina Georgieva, who praised reforms by President Tinubu. The G20 is made up of 19 member countries, including Argentina, Australia, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, the Republic of Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, the UK, the US, along with European Union. Now, the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project has called on President Bola Tinubu to investigate allegations of over 57 billion naira in missing, diverted, or stolen public funds from the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation in 2021. The group made the appeal in a letter dated November 23, 2024, signed by its Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadari, following revelations contained in the 2021 audit. The group urged Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and anti-corruption agencies to act swiftly, saying anyone suspected to be responsible should face prosecution as appropriate if there is sufficient admissible evidence, and any missing public funds should be fully recovered and remitted to the Treasury. The 2021 Auditor General's report revealed several instances of financial mismanagement in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Now to the House of Representatives, where the Speaker, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has highlighted the persistent underfunding of Nigerian health sector despite significant annual allocations. Abbas made these remarks on Friday during a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Healthcare Services to deliberate on 4 critical bills aimed at strengthening the nation's healthcare system. The Speaker, who was represented by Honorable Obordo Mitema, a member representing Ogbea Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State, made this observation at a one-day public hearing organized by the House Committee on Health Care Services at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja, where 4 bills are expected to be debated on by stakeholders in the sector.
It is no longer news that despite the committed efforts, the health sector has sadly over the years faced several challenges associated with outbound medical tourism, emigration of skilled healthcare workers, poor salaries, and insufficient budgetary allocation. It is also sad to note that even though Nigeria has the highest gross domestic product (GDP) in Africa, the progress it has achieved in health has been rather slow and disappointing. Hence, more effort is needed if we are going to be at par with Western countries. Indeed, more needs to be done if the life expectancy of average Nigerian is to rise, as well as a reduction in infant mortality.
He lauded the hard work, commitment and support of the chairman and members of the committee while contributing their quota towards helping Nigerians achieve not only better health, but having access to better health care.
The House Committee on Healthcare Services and other health-related committees of the House of Representatives, and indeed the National Assembly, are fully committed to doing their part by initiating and amending laws that will always be people-friendly with the aim of bringing succor and positive changes towards the health sector in Nigeria.
The acting chairman of the committee listed a host of challenges that has bedeviled the healthcare sector over the past few years, ranging from rising cost of medical equipment, inadequate funding, preventable medical errors, and many more.
I wish to assure you all that as legislators and members of the Committee on Healthcare Services, we are conscious of our constitutional and legislative responsibility towards the people. We are at all times ready to partner with relevant stakeholders and support any genuine effort required to improve the healthcare system in Nigeria. On a final note, as we prepare to meticulously study and deal with this bill, I wish all of us successful and fruitful deliberations.
However, the Medical and Dental Consultant Association of Nigeria picked holes in one of the bills, which is the bill to amend the National Residency Training Act, and advised that it should be dropped for more input by relevant stakeholders.
I think the only thing that will help us to have our demographic stratification of the citizens of Nigeria is to have a strong, all-inclusive, comprehensive national social security register. It can only attain this level if it has a legislative backing and if it is allotted a responsibility that is day-to-day. As it is now, as practitioners, sometimes we find it very difficult when we are confronted with situations of people who dearly need support through some of the social funding programs. You will be presented with a patient who requires this. You need to make justifications for it. You need to, and then despite that, by the time the help will come, it will be too late.
The bills stated for amendment are a bill for an act to amend the National Residency Training Act 2018, a bill for an act to amend the National Insurance Authority Act 2021, a bill to amend the National Tobacco Control Act, and a bill to establish the Institute of Healthcare Service Administrators of Nigeria. Now, 34 members of the House of Representatives who sponsored the bill seeking to amend the 1999 Constitution to provide for a 6-year single term in office by president, state governors and local government chairmen have insisted that all hope is not lost on the piece of legislation, as more consultations will be made on the bill and represented at a later time. This follows the rejection of the bill, which also seeks zonal rotation of the office of the president and the governors, as well as holding of the elections in one day at plenary on Thursday. The lead sponsor and member representing Idiato North-South Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere, in a statement said that the decision of members on the floor of the House does not in any way put an end to agitation, as the sponsors are determined to ensure the realization of their objective.
The struggle to have to reform our constitutional democracy to make it all-inclusive and provide avenue for justice, equity, and fairness has not been lost. The decision on the floor of the House today not to allow the bill for 6-year single term for power to rotate between North and South, and all elections to be hold in one day. Not to scare third reading does not mark and does not put an end to the agitation and hope that we'll realize this objective. This is a temporary setback which does not affect the campaign for all-inclusive democratic process. We're going to review these decisions and then look at other options of continuing this advocacy and find possible ways of reintroducing it after following due legislative procedures and timelines. But all I can tell Nigerians is that be rest assured that we'll continue the advocacy and the legislative efforts to ensure that we'll convince our colleagues to see the reasons why we should have a 6-year single-term presidency and for power to rotate between North and South and for all elections to be held in one day. If elections is held in one day, it will reduce costs, it will bring more participation and vigilance, and also it will help to reduce rigging because the accreditation used in announcing the status of assembly election will be the same for the presidency. It cannot change. And if power is to rotate between North and South, it will help to de-escalate political tension, bring sense of inclusivity.
Recall that the bill was shut down by members of the House of Representatives on Thursday when it was introduced by 34 members of the House. Now, the Nigerian Customs Service in Ogun State, Area 1 Command says it has intercepted cannabis, sativa and tramadol worth 117,587,405 naira from brother areas at the Igbawo Igant Koto area of Yewa North local government area and the Meko Afon axis, among others. The area controller, James Ojo, disclosed this during a media briefing on the interception and handing over of the contraband to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, on Friday. The contraband is cannabis sativa, 5,256 coconut-sized wraps, valued at 46,981,742 naira. Cannabis sativa, 46 book-size wraps, valued at 411,179 naira. 1,202 bread-sized wraps, valued at 10,744,302 naira, and 403 sacks valued at 16,010,182 naira.
From January to 21st November 2024, through credible intelligence and strategic operations, the operative of Ogun 1 Command intercepted and seized substantial quantities of cannabis sativa and Tramaking tablets, another brand of tramadol. The seizure consists of 403 sacks and 6,504 parcels weighing 7,207.7 kg and 362 packs of Tramaking tablets of 225 milligrams each, with a total duty paid value of 117,587,405 naira. This underscored the severity of drug trafficking within our borders. The operations were successfully carried out across the various strategic locations in Ogun State.
Receiving the exhibit, Olusegun Adeyeye, Commander NDLEA Idiroko Special Command, applauded the Customs Area Command for their doggedness, efforts and contributions in the fight against illicit drugs. Adeyeye stated that the seizure is a testament that NDLEA and Customs are synergizing in the fight against drug abuse.
I want to use this opportunity to commend the Nigeria Customs, most especially Ogun 1, for achieving this feat of arrest and seizure. It's not that easy, if not for their doggedness and being focused to see they want to rid this country from this illicit trade. There's no gainsaying to say that if all these things enter this country, there are a lot of negative implications that will emerge into this country.
Host communities of OML25 have called on Shell to fulfill long-standing development promises before resuming operations in the area. Speaking after a crucial meeting held with Shell, regulatory authorities and local government representatives, the spokesman of OML25 Community, Chief Anaps Saraigbe, emphasized that the delay in reopening Shell's OML25 facility is not the fault of the communities, but rather a result of Shell's failure to meet agreements made over the years. The meeting, which included representatives from Kula, Ofiama, Belema, and other surrounding communities, focused on the 8-point agreement made with Belema Oil, a local partner, which outlines key development goals, including employment, infrastructure, and healthcare. Saraigbe stressed that despite decades of oil production over 200,000 barrels per day for more than 60 years, local communities have seen no tangible benefits, including roads, hospitals, electricity, or water.
We are ready for Shell to move it to operation immediately, provided they carry out all the agreed terms. We have discussed about the welfare of the people. A lot of our children, graduates, skilled people are unemployed. And we are saying this has nothing to do with PIA. Our people must be employed if Shell is coming to work in our area. 2, community development, which was the major thrust why the place was shut down. And you are all aware that Belekiari, when he came to Kula, promised that community will be developed before even production. So we emphasize that they should follow up with the 8-point agreement with Belema Oil.
The kingdom also called for a firm commitment to an operation and maintenance contract between the multinational Shell and indigenous Belema Oil, with provisions for local participation in security and community development. The local stakeholders also made it clear that any new operators entering the region should take responsibility for Shell's existing liabilities, with Belema Oil given the first right of refusal if Shell decides to divest from the asset. Meanwhile, the president of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Sukubo Saraigbe, urged the multinational to take part of peace rather than the divide and rule tactics brought into the community will not be accepted.
As they signed that PO and architectural security architecture, they are free to go and operate. We are not happy that 45,000 barrels of crude oil is being tied down for 7 years per day. 45,000 per day for 7 years is a huge resources that the federal government is losing, the state is losing, the local government is losing, and even the Shell, NNPC, and the community, we're all losing. So we want them to come and operate, provided they will sign that PO. We also agreed here that there is no pipeline there now to lift this crude oil. And so they should pass, when they produce, they should pass this crude oil to Belema facility for onward transmission to Bonny so that they can earn money and develop our place.
Surprisingly, we have come to notice one thing, that Shell has this myopic and divide and rule tactics that they have used to destroy Ogoni land. They are still bringing it to Kola community, of which we will not tolerate that one. We are not going to accept that one. As a youth president of this country, my own is to maintain peace. My own is to mediate. But I found out that Shell want to use their connection, their money to intimidate my community, oppress my community. First thing we told them, outrightly, look, give the PO to the security architecture being signed by Shell, Belema Oil, River State government, and the regulators. Shell is adamant to that one. Secondly, we have told them include Kola and Foyama community, but we feel that up to now, Shell is still proving stubborn. But we don't have any options. We still take the peace approach. But what we have told them today, look, go and rectify what we have complained
The OML25 communities, through its spokesperson, concluded by expressing hope that the ongoing dialogue will lead to the long-awaited development of the region, ensuring that the oil wealth of OML25 benefits the local people and not just the corporate interests involved. We take a pause here to bring you stories from the housing sector. Stay with us.
Hey Africa, ready to crown the champions of housing? Time for Africa Housing Award. Who's got the best design, the greatest home, the most affordable spaces? You decide. Nominate your favorites and let's shine the spotlight on the best in African housing. Whether it's a big brand, a bold project, or a fresh idea, we want to hear from you. So go on, show some love. Nominate now. Head on to AfricaHousingAwards.com and nominate your picks today. Let's celebrate those changing the game in African housing.
Glad to have you join us back on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Moving on to the housing sector. In Lagos State, the residents of Festac Town, Lagos have asked for protection from the Inspector General of Police through their legal representatives, Adetayo Bello, over what they described as the alarming and flagrant disregard for the rule of law by officials of the Federal Housing Authority, FHA, whom they allege have continued to demolish properties in Festac Extension 6th Avenue despite a valid court injunction restraining further demolitions. The residents are asking for protection based on an order given by Justice O.J. Awope of the Lagos State High Court sitting in Ikeja on September 11, 2023, which explicitly restrained the FHA and its agents from demolishing buildings in Festac Town's 6th Avenue or other areas pending the resolution of a substantive suit delineated ID/7397 GCM/2023. They allege that despite these legal directives, officials of the FHA have resumed the demolitions, causing extensive damage to properties and distress to residents. Now, the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors is set to unveil a cost data bank aimed at improving project decision-making. The NIQS President Kenny Ezekwe announced this at a press conference recently ahead of its annual general meeting. He added that the introduction of the Cost Data Bank is a key component of the Institute's broader efforts to enhance the quality and efficiency of project delivery in the country. According to Ezekwe, the data bank will serve as a critical tool for the benchmarking of capital project costs across the construction sector. He said the data bank will not only help in estimating costs, but also promote greater financial accountability in the industry. Now, a building housing 10 rooms and shops has been razed by fire at Omuara Town, headquarters of Irepodu local government area of Kwara State, in the early hours of Sunday. According to a statement by the spokesman of the State Fire Service, Hassan Adekunle in Ilorin, the incident occurred at about 7:02 hours at Ilaro Compound, Salami Uluakaoba House, Omuaran. He said the State Fire Service promptly responded to a distress call on the incident. Hassan disclosed that preliminary investigations attributed the fire to a power surge. Prince Falade John, director of the State Fire Service, urged the public to prioritize safety and remain vigilant to prevent similar incidents. Now, on the foreign scene, a $40 million housing development is being constructed to support international students in Myrtle Beach, a city in South Carolina. According to a report by Newsman, the project is being designed to provide housing for international students in light of the region's seasonal housing shortages, which directly impact its tourism-driven economy. Located on Mr. Joe White Avenue, the development's first building is expected to be completed by April 2025. When fully completed, the facility will consist of 5 buildings that can house up to 1,572 international students. The initial phase will include 2 buildings with 360 beds in each. In an interview with Newsmen, president of Lazarus Entertainment Group, Mark Lazarus, hailed the project as being huge for the city's economy and dismissed any concerns about its significance. Now, former German Chancellor Angela Merkel has told Newsmen that the gas deals she made with Russia were intended to help German firms and keep the peace with Moscow, as she insisted the war with Ukraine would have started earlier if she hadn't blocked Kyiv's entry into NATO in 2008. Angela Merkel led Germany for 16 years. She was there during the financial crisis, the 2015 migrant crisis, and significantly Russia's 2014 invasion of Ukraine. On Monday, defense ministers from the UK, France, Germany, Poland, and Italy are meeting to discuss the deteriorating situation on Ukraine's front lines. But speaking to newsmen in Berlin, Merkel is robust in her defense of her time in office. She says she believes the war in Ukraine would have started sooner and would likely have been worse if Kyiv had begun the path to NATO membership in 2008. That's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. President Tinubu returns to Abuja after attending G20 Leaders Summit in Brazil. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SIRAP) demands probe of humanitarian ministries missing 57 billion naira. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas bemoaned poor funding in Nigeria's healthcare sector. Festac Town residents seeks Inspector General of Police protection to uphold court order. And we also saw on the foreign scene $40 million housing project planned for international students in South Carolina. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected. I am Neemana Bagudu. Bye for now.